Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to Thursday PD. How's everybody doing? Welcome to our guests in the chat. How you doing, Gary, James, Shannon?
And we have Davis
And
joining us
Davis.
Davis,
now.
perfect.
Hello, everybody.
Brilliant timing, Davis.
Fantastic.
That's
So
awesome.
if
So welcome. Yeah,
if you
welcome to
ask-
Thursday PD.
Yes. Good to see you again, everyone. Nice to see everyone again after some time, right? Good evening,
Yes.
everyone.
It's been a
Wow.
bit too long, really. And I think
Yes.
it's a good time to mention that we've decided to go for a monthly format now. Basically, so that obviously we can deliver the quality, but also we can have time to do things, I think is the key thing. Because we all seem to have a lot of projects on at the moment.
I'd
Yeah.
say not just a lot of projects, but like a lot of ups and downs, right? We're going on this big roller coaster through education, so in school and distance learning. So I think everybody's just got their plates full, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So, yeah.
But we have a super exciting show for you today. We're really, really excited, as you guys can see from the title. But before we get there, if you're joining us in the YouTube chat, please let us know who you are and where you're joining from so we can connect with you. It is one of our favorite things to connect with people globally and to continue to learn and share together. So yeah, let us know in the chat where you're joining from. I see we have Jessica. Does anybody know Jessica? Where's Jessica
Yes,
joining
Jessica is from the Philippines. She's a GEG San Juan leader.
Wow.
And
Oh,
she's one of the
fantastic.
coaches last SEA 19. Hi, Jessica.
Lovely.
Oh, brilliant. Well, welcome, Jessica. We have somebody called GTech Guru. I like that, GTech.
Oh,
Like Georgina Tech? No.
that is Mary.
Must
Hi,
be,
Mary.
must
Nice
be.
to see you. Thanks for joining us, Mary. That's Mary Manzano is now the
Mary.
educational specialist from Google. So
Wow,
she's-
congratulations,
Wow.
Mary.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Mary's a
I think-
superstar. She was on Global GEG a while ago, like, right, Shannon? Like when we first kicked off, I think, back, and she was doing some awesome social media stuff with Global. So she's phenomenal.
And Mona Jean is from the Philippines, a GEG Bacolod leader. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you joining us.
Philippine party.
Oh, and Mel's
Excellent.
here.
Like it.
Mel's
Yes, Mel
joining
is here.
from, I never get this right. Shannon, help.
Colombia.
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 Wow.
Hi, Mel.
Right.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Many
One of
people
these
around.
days, I'm going to actually get all those green parts on the globe, on the map, like figured out one day. No promises anytime soon, yeah? But that's wonderful. It's nice to see everybody. We missed you guys. We actually said to each other in the chat just yesterday, I said I was really excited to see them because I haven't seen them also in a while. So it's really nice to connect as well. Oh, you got a special shout out in the chat, Gary, from...
Oh, Miss Moni. Moni is from the GEG leader, GEG Bacolod leader. Yeah.
GEG
Oh,
leader,
excellent.
Miss Moni. Lovely.
Yes.
And we have Khairul, sorry if I didn't pronounce your name
Anwar.
correctly. Anwar, yes. Let us-
From, I'm not sure, from Indonesia or Malaysia. I'm not very sure.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, let us know
Think
where you
so.
guys are from. Feel free to drop your Twitter handles if you'd like to connect. It's really, really awesome to keep the conversation going after too. So that's super awesome. Yay. Okay, cool. Well, let's dig in. We're really excited about today's episode. It's a brand new year. So season's greetings and happy new year to everybody who's joining. We're in February now, so I think I missed the boat on that one. However, we haven't seen everybody for a while, so I think it's still fair. And yeah, we're going to dive into the day in the life of an inspiring leader. So it's really, really exciting. You know, we're always talking about how students and learners how can we empower them as leaders, right? And so what does that look like? Are leaders all the same? Do their days all look the same? What inspires them, etc.? So we're going to dive into that. Before we get into today's topic, let's go and do around the table and just have a little share. So let's celebrate. What have you guys been up to this month since the holiday, and what has been going well to kickstart the new year? Who would like to start? Oh, and Stephen's joining. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Steven.
Hi, Stephen.
Steven's from Philippines?
Indonesia. No, from
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Innovator SEA 14. Yeah, same with David. SEA 14.
Is this Steven Sotantro? I think?
Yes,
Yes.
Steven Sutantro.
Okay. Hi, Steven.
Oh, we also have Neil Henderson. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Neil.
Neil.
Yes. Hope you could join us again.
It's like a little reunion in the chat. I love this. I'll
It
kick
feels
it off.
like it.
What's going on? Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Okay.
So, hi everybody, Shannon. It's very early where I am. Everybody's all over the world. I'm in California, so it's 5 a.m. here. Things are going wonderful most of the time. We're still in virtual teaching, so I am a full-time teacher and tech coach, and we are just navigating the reality of what it means to be virtual learning still, and kind of having that conversation more and more about what a return to school looks like. As far as keeping me busy, my joy project right now with Georgina is one of them, is myself and her and Becky Calling, we started a podcast. So we've been kicking off a podcast. We are 3 caffeinated coaches and it's going wonderful. We just dropped our 3rd episode yesterday. And so keeping us busy between teaching and helping and supporting and participating in joy projects. So things are good. Glad to be here. Glad it's 2021 and excited for what the year holds.
Shannon, what time is it over there in California?
5:10 a.m. in the morning.
So Shannon
Ooh.
had to get up super early to join. How many coffees have you had so far?
Well, I just took my first sip of coffee. And so I believe that gradually I will become more and more awake as this show goes on because, coffee is life, right? Cheers.
I do want to say that you look great, by the way, at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right?
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Just for you all,
Yeah.
all you wonderful people out there.
I wish
Appreciate it.
I wake up with like this crazy hair in the morning and yeah. So hats off to you, Shannon.
Well, thanks. Well, thanks, guys. you do
And,
well for my ego this morning, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
And let us know what time it is where you guys are joining from in the chat. I see we have Jeremy joining. Who knows Jeremy? And Seti's in the chat. Seti, hop on here.
Yeah, Sadiq, join us here. Jeremy's from the Philippines also. Jeremy's from the
Excellent.
Department of Education.
Your crew is
There you go.
representing today, Gary. I'm
Yes.
impressed. Wow.
Philippines
very impressed.
represent.
Absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
James, you're up next. What is going on in the life of James?
We're doing hybrid teaching now, which is literally sometimes in the classroom, sometimes at home, students in the classroom, some students at home, and just trying to balance things out. And we've discovered that we're still using Zoom in the classroom because students want to chat with their friends who are not in the classroom. And so I've had to install Zoom in the computers in all of the classroom so that we can have this hybrid. And I've also discovered that I'm talking to the screen. The students are right there because obviously we have to wear masks.
Yeah.
And they need to hear, we need to hear, and it is a lot of fun. And I think it's great to see those students that are able to make it in. And I'm glad that those students who don't feel comfortable coming in, still getting a Zoom lesson. And it's been good because I'm teaching older students in hybrid learning. So they're pretty responsible. They're happy to co-host and do things like that. So that's been fantastic. Away from school, I just spoke in Hong Kong. I mean, I got on my computer and spoke in Hong Kong about RDPT, and I'm really glad it's catching EAL. And I reckon we're nearly at 300, 400 educators using it now. So that's great.
James, you have a
yes.
shout out in the chat from Neil, who's
Yeah.
singing your praises there.
Oh,
Let's
cheers.
throw that up on the screen.
Yes.
And not only
Brilliant.
does James have this awesome tool to support, teaching and learning on the daily, James actually gives away a free copy of his book every time he goes and shares his awesome resource. Love it.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. So yeah, there was a freebie recently. So if you follow me on Twitter, yeah, the gamified classroom, I normally give away every time I can to give you a chance. And if you do have the Kindle Unlimited, I think it's called, then of course you can read it for free anytime you like. So yeah, I think I think we're preaching to the choir here that, you know, lockdown was a real opportunity to actually get something done and to make a difference to our communities.
I love it. Well, congratulations and to
Thank
each
you.
of you. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And no matter how many times James shares about that resource, I always learn something new every time he shares. So whenever you get a chance, guys, hop on at his next presentation and you will learn loads for sure. Awesome. Okay, Gary, you're up. Are you ready?
Yes, yes. I am doing fine. I just, doing online classes for several months now, but
Mm.
still not really used to it because I have to adjust with the schedule of my kids. So we have to rearrange again the house so they won't hear each other and we won't be seen in the background. So that's why I'm busy fixing again the house, but still the same background that I'm using. So I am the one distracting their classes because I'm the one seeing it on their background. Also, I just got a hand on a Chromebook, and I just discovered when you have a good Chromebook, wow, you can do a lot. So maybe later on we can share. I can share about that one, but maybe next time or in some next episode. So
No,
Chromebook,
I love that absolutely, and feel free, Gary, because this show is all about leaders, right? And I'm sure we can all agree, like everybody joining in the chat, people on this episode today, we're all supporting in some kind of leadership role, right? And
yeah.
anything that we are we're going to get into this throughout the show, but like anything that we are creating, anything we're sharing, anything that we're supporting to empower the education community with, this is part of leadership, and this is how we inspire the
Okay.
community to innovate. So yeah, feel free, Gary. We are all yours.
Because I need another laptop for my kids, and my kids are grade 9 and grade 5, and they want instead of I bought a Mac Air last November, and now I need another one for my kid. So instead of buying a Mac, which is a bit expensive,
Mm.
I have this Chromebook. At the same time, it's a tablet. When you fold it, it's 360. You call it HP Chromebook
Mm.
X360. So it becomes a tablet. So I don't need extra gadget. I don't. They don't need extra peripherals, computer peripherals to draw. So they can make
Mm.
use of the tablet feature of the Chromebook, and it works faster, way faster than my Mac. So that's why I'm so amazed
Mm.
with Chromebook. So
I mean, HP are brilliant with the form factors. My daughter has a slightly older one, the Windows one, and the
uh,
fact that you can flip it over and draw straight away is just incredible.
yes, very
Um,
good for
the
kids,
things
right?
she's been making are just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, my kids is also likes digital art, so
Mm.
perfect for my daughter.
I think it's
So,
wonderful, and I think that is definitely an episode coming up as far as like the new innovations in the tools that we can use in the classroom.
yes.
I think we're
Mm.
gonna. I think that's a conversation we can definitely continue
Yeah.
along. So yeah, shout out to Abid who's joining in the chat all the way from
Hi,
the
Abby.
UK.
Hello, Abid.
That's so cool. And
Great.
also, is this another of your PLN, Gary?
Yes,
Uh,
simple liwanag. Yes, from the Philippines.
I love it. This is so cool. I absolutely love it. Well, welcome to all of you. We are talking all about leadership, but before we do, we still want to hear from Davis. Davis, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, thank you. We just got back from online learning. So we did from January when we opened, we started with online learning, and we just got back actually last Monday. The government said that we could, like everybody can now, have their in-class learning, and so we did that for 1 week now. And of course, there were like a few issues with the network at the beginning because we thought that we got, we changed something in the network, in the firewall and all that. And Monday was a little bit of a, high pressure day for everybody, but then we got it all fixed, and I think so far so good. Not a lot of issues now, but with regards to uh, with regards to the teachers and how we're supporting the teachers, that's still something that we're working on. We're doing a lot of training, like since the start of January, because when we went online, our teachers are still actually coming to school to do the online, lessons in school, and their students are at home. So we started doing a lot of trainings because they have a reduced amount of time to teach, and we're continuing to do that. So that's in terms of work. In terms of life, my son's birthday today, so that's
Oh, happy
happy day.
birthday!
Jay.
His name is Travis. Yeah,
Happy birthday, Travis!
yeah, it's
Yay,
ninth birthday.
Travis.
Yep.
Oh,
So
that's so lovely.
yeah. And another thing that I also want to mention in terms of work is that I've noticed that I have way too many meetings, and I just go from one meeting to another, and yeah, it's killing me a little bit, just
I
a
think
little bit.
that's an
I agree.
yeah, an understatement. Full timetable, full packed. Yeah. No, well that's great.
So
Well,
yeah,
happy birthday.
thank you for that. That's
Cool.
it.
Okay. Well, so for I guess for myself, well, lots of awesome things are happening. Shannon already shared one of them. But as far as Jordan is concerned, here in the Middle East, we are getting ready for a re-entry face to face. This will be our second re-entry for this academic school year, and we're really excited. We have some new safety procedures in place, and everybody's really excited to get to see the students again. A bit like James said, even if it's just a few that are coming in, it's really nice to see them on campus. So that's exciting. They'll be joining us. It's a phased approach, so there'll be a few year groups coming in on Sunday, and then there'll be some more coming in March. And so, fingers crossed that all goes well, and there's no, major COVID outbreaks again. And then hopefully we can get back to some sort of hybrid normal, if that's even a term. But yeah, so that's going really good. And I want to piggyback a little bit onto what Davis was saying about training the staff. So at my school, a lot of staff are really excited about EdTech integration now. And so a lot of the staff members at my school are taking on trainings themselves and are supporting me with boot camps. And so it's growing. It's something to celebrate, that teachers are also getting really excited about those silver linings that they took away from COVID. So it's a positive start to 2021. And the sun was shining for an hour today, so I'll take that as well. The rest of the day was raining, but that's okay. So yeah, let us know in the chat what are your exciting kickstarts to 2021. We'd love to shout those out on the screen. And let's dive into our topic, which is inspiring leadership. So I'd love to hear from all of you. Shannon and I, it's a little bit also what we talk about in our podcast, right? Coaching, mentoring, and leadership. But I want to hear, from other people all around the world, what do you think is a good leader, an inspiring leader, somebody that you see as making super positive change and inspires you to do the same? So let's just, whoever would like to start and share what inspiring leadership means to you, and let us know in the chat.
Okay. In my case, in my opinion, an inspiring leader is someone who listen and well, not just listen, but projects herself or himself in a way that we are at the same level. Because before I can open to my leader, I'd like to be comfortable. Because sometimes when we talk about leadership, uh, I have this thinking that, oh, maybe she's asking or he's asking because he might be fishing about some information. So I'd like to be, I have to be comfortable in a way that I can say whatever things that I don't like, not just the things that I like. So in that case, when I'm comfortable with the person, and if the person is, you know, have a good listening ear, maybe I can say that
Mm.
the person is a good leader.
I mean, I would follow on from Gary. I feel the sign of a good leader is how they handle bad news and criticism.
Yeah.
If they're able to handle that, and they're able to depersonalize it and look at it and say, well, we're not here to shoot the messenger. We're here to try and sort things and solve problems. I
Yeah.
think that's important, because if you can't take the negative feedback, people are going to start lying to you. And it's not a political show, but I can picture a recent president of a certain country, and let's just say he found it difficult to deal with bad news.
Yeah.
So, right. Well, no, but seriously, that's interesting. And I'd like to ask you a question about that, James. Do you
Yeah,
think
sure.
then that impacts trust? Just chatting it out with you. Do you think it impacts the trust then?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you bad news and you accept it and you try to deal with it, then yes, I think that is a trust issue, because people will be happy to tell you what you want to hear. It's when they need to tell you things that you do not want to hear that I think that's when you shine as a leader, and you show you've built the trust up with your team.
I love
And
that.
and it's also about opinion. And it could be an opinion, but also, is it facts? And yeah, maybe if they don't like something, still that's important to know what that person's thinking.
Abid is shouting out a book that he's actually leading a study for with Global, called Oh, Shannon's got it. Crucial Conversations right there. So yeah, Abid, let us know if you agree then with James, since you've read some of that book. And Shannon, yeah, add on to that. So I'm not that far ahead in my reading yet.
Yeah, it's just this idea that, James summed it up beautifully, right? That idea that, trust is number one. And as long as you keep, an open mind to the fact that, your position isn't necessarily the right position for every single person, and approaching those conversations with respect, but also with a clear and concise, account of what you need, and versus what you want, right? I feel like a lot of the time some leaders have this this need to feel like they have it all together, and I really think inspiring leaders are the ones that can admit that they don't, and let go of some of that power and that control, or those unspoken codes of what it means to lead a team. You need a leader that has a vision, but at the same time, I think an inspiring leader really is grounded in the idea of collaboration with your team. You can state the vision, state it clearly, and make sure that you have every single individual's kind of perspective, input, but ultimately make the vision as the leader, but then be open and flexible to the fact that goals change, focus changes, and needs and wants and desires will change as well. And so the most inspiring leaders that I've known have been the ones that have really brought the middle level leaders, or the individuals who are, following them, brought them into the conversation, empowered their voices. Those are the ones that really stand out to me.
I love that. And you have a lot of feedback in the chat, but we'll just say hi to Cecily, who's joining now. Yay. Hi, buddy.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
How you
Sorry I'm being a
doing?
bit late. Great.
No worries.
Doing really well.
Oh, the more the merrier. I'm so excited. We're six
Yeah.
now. So we have a lot of feedback in the chat, and then we'll let Davis and Sethi jump onto that. So Mary was talking about the idea of persuasion, so important, right? That buy-in, but a real soft buy-in, what's the word I'm looking for? You need, buy-in, but it's got to be done in the right way. And then understanding where they're coming from, which leads us to empathy, right? So it's a little bit what you all were talking about before as well. Jeremy talks about ways to learn to maximize productivity. And Abed's talking about mutual respect with purpose and meaning, a bit like what Shannon was saying. Roland's joining. Hi, Roland. Nice to see you. Propelling the Renaissance era for education. So many joining in the chat. Are these more of your people, Gary? This is awesome. Toby,
Oh, well,
greetings.
Roland is from the Philippines, but he's also Adobe creative.
I know.
Like you, right? And we also have Lee. I think Lee's from Indonesia or somewhere from Asia, not from the Philippines. Yes. Okay.
And Neil was talking too about feedback and working towards improvement through transparency. And I want to agree with Neil on that one. I think being raw and like open about everything. I think one of the things that helps me as an educator and a leader to build positive relationships with everybody that I interact with in the community is bringing my true self, everything that's happening. I talk about my cats. If I'm having a bad day, oh, this happened, but it's okay. We can have a better day together. And I think it helps build good relationships. So I think that's really positive too. Sethi and Davis, I want to pass the floor to you and then we'll throw in a few more comments from our viewers.
Yeah, I do agree with Shannon and what she said about, making sure that the vision is there and that the vision is coming from you and that it is clear for everybody to see. And understand. And if they do need help with that, you are there to kind of like support them and making it clear. And I do also agree with what Neil has said in the chat where he mentioned about transparency. A lot of my experience, there's not really been a transparency with leadership and and the subordinates. They don't make it clear that this is what they want, and they don't, or we don't as subordinates, we don't make it clear what we're doing, and so that the leader doesn't really know what we're doing. So I think having transparency in both aspects is key as well. For me, I think building relationship as well. I think Shannon hinted upon this a while ago. Building a relationship with not just working relationship, but also a little bit deeper relationship with your team or with the people you work with, because I believe understanding them not just with the work that they're doing, but also understanding them, what they're going through, and reaching out to them if they need help, and not just as as their superior, but also their friend. So I think having a relationship with your team is key. So.
Well, a lot of the people on the top row of this chat are all about relationships. So that comment, I know, resonated with them for sure. And I think Sethi's coming back. Oh, there he is. Just in time.
Sorry about that. I've just spilled water all over my iPad, so it happens. Apple, make them waterproof. Thank you.
Maybe you need to go take care of that. We'll wait for you. It's okay.
It's okay. It'll dry out. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Wow. And there you have it. These are the real things that happen in the days of live.
And Sethi has explained perfectly the point about thinking fast and slow. And I think that's one of the things Neil was alluding to, when sometimes you have to make bad decisions or you have to make decisions quickly. And I think that book on thinking fast and slow, again, there was a president of an American country who said they were very good at the slow thinking. They weren't so good at the fast thinking. And you could tell he was very well educated, very intelligent, and he acknowledged that. But also, clearly, when fast decisions were needed, he made them. And so we did have guidance there. So I think it's interesting what's coming through. And hopefully Sethi made a fast decision to protect his keyboard, or decided he could do with a new one.
Both work, I think.
It's all good. I had to prioritize, and I went with a wet floor instead of wet equipment. Yeah. So it's all good.
Shout out to Tim, who is joining in the chat as well. Tim, it's so nice to see you. And he's very excited about looking for honesty and empathy in leadership. Tim, where's Tim joining us from today, guys?
From Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. So cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, Tim says we
I
don't
hope.
always have the answer.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
James,
Okay.
I'd like
So,
to dive in a little bit more to what you were saying about thinking fast or thinking slow, whichever one you choose. We
Mm.
have to make decisions, right? At some point in
Yes.
time, leaders have a lot of decisions to make. And that's a
Yeah.
little bit about today's behind the scenes. So, what kinds of decisions, guys, are leaders having to go through? Whether that is the leader, like at the top of I was going to say keychain, no, the top of the chain at the school, keychain too, maybe. Or whether you are a middle leader or an educator, we're all leaders, right? So what are
Mm.
we going through, guys?
I mean, I think with a lot of us, a lot of the decisions at the moment are fast decisions with a very fluid situation and being very dynamic and flexible. And I think I would imagine every level of leadership within a school is getting through. And I think the very hard thing for head teachers is that they actually probably have no more information than everybody else, because the minute things happen, we instantly have the same information as the head teacher, particularly from things like exam boards. The students have that information as quickly as the head teacher. And the thinking fast and slow for me would be, in these kind of situations, you need to do scenario-based planning. I used to work a little bit for a newspaper, part-time gig, basically. And what the newspaper had done was, there was an election. Well, they'd written all the stories way ahead of time based on various scenarios. And they were very chilled about it the night before. The night after, not so chilled when things did not go according to plan. But most of their news coverage was ready to go and ready to roll. And they'd written, the fairly likely scenarios. And it made me think, well, actually, what you can do to act fast and have depth of thought is to pre-think scenarios and to think of those scenarios. I saw something at 21st Century Learning. I thought it was really good. Was, before you do something, think what the objections are ahead of time. Pre-objection, I think he called it. And I thought it was a really good point. Is that who's going to object? What are they going to object to if I make this decision? And I think that's a great way to think of things, and to work out and say, well, is that the right old thing, or why are we doing this? And I think that's always the important, that why.
great.
I would add on to that. I would say that, like, it's interesting the times that we're in. I feel like those administrators, the head teachers, as you call them, right? They're not ever changing, ever flexing. I mean, I feel like where we are, it's a constant change of information that is coming through. So in any given day, it's going to be, 4 or 5 different kind of approaches that are going to be shifting. Even just the slightest shift can cause disruption, right? And so I kind of feel and have some grace and empathy for, our administration, more than I think I ever have before, because they're having to constantly deal with those, like, how much information do I give to the staff, or how much do I withhold, because I know it's going to be changing so quickly, right? And so I would say last year, in a traditional setting, maybe I didn't have as much empathy or grace, right? Because when things were not rolled out quick enough, according to my standards, I guess, if I was left in the dark, I felt frustrated. And now it's a little different for me, because I understand that there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to navigate this new reality. And whether people are virtual or hybrid or even fully just face-to-face back, it's not the same as it was before. I feel also that it has required them to step up just a little bit, as far as, like, if we're talking like tech, as far as technological know-how, they need to also be able to navigate the realities of what a virtual or hybrid world is requiring. And to be honest with you, I don't think that that's been a priority for a lot of administrators for a lot of years, right? They kind of just said, well, that's what the teachers' jobs are. But now there's, they're having to kind of from their bosses and with the community. They're having to like dive in and learn right alongside us. And so I think that's kind of a cool shift. But it is a lot of responsibility as well. And so I think they're starting to feel, or have been feeling, that pressure just as much as, you know, the middle level leaders are as well.
And we've got Neil, who is in senior leadership at his school, and he's talking about all the different stakeholders and all of those decisions and conversations, crucial conversations. We'll go back to that book that he has to have with a variety of different stakeholders. Neil, hats off to you, and hats off to all of the leaders that are on the call with us today and viewing in the chat that are doing incredible feats to manage the current situation. So really well done. Tim's talking about, oh yes, the transition back and forth between hybrid. I think it was James was talking about that too. And that's not easy. But I like what Shannon said about a silver lining is that leaders also feel that they want to be more involved and more knowledgeable and a bit more skilled to support their teams too. So I think that's really great. Davis, let us know, how's it going for leaders in your part of the world, in your school area, your district? How are they navigating everything?
I actually feel for them because there's a lot of you know, things that they have to navigate, especially some very difficult decisions with regards to like maybe letting people go, or you know, maybe reducing pay or things like that, or maybe even like, you know, not having the clear answer of what to do next, because we're all relying on the government's decision as well, if we need to lock down or not, or if we, you know, can only have this certain amount of students in the classroom, or more students in the classroom, or even lesser. So this last January, there was a lot of decisions that they have, some tough decisions that they have to make. Fortunately, some of those tougher decisions, they were able to not make them, because we opened back up to you know, in-class learning. So that was pretty good. But yeah, I feel for them because it's very tough to make, you know, certain decisions, and sometimes they just have to like maybe put their feet down and say that, yeah, we just have to make this decision because this is what makes sense for our business. And sometimes they just have to make that.
Yeah, I think you hit something on the nail on the head there with that one. I couldn't agree more, especially with us being in international schools, some of us, not all, being in international schools, we have to forecast, right? And take a look at who's coming in for the following year. And that's in international sector, that's done pretty early on. Like we have to give our notice in October, November, December, usually, to say what we're doing as in the international sector. So like this has a big stress also on educators, then on leaders. Can we hire more? Can we not? After we've hired people, like you were saying, Davis, and then there's cuts later on. Okay, can we keep the people we've hired? Can we actually bring them in? So it is very stressful. So I think that point is really important for us to take on board and remember. And that's not just the leaders, right? That's like the finance team, the HR team. Like it's stressful for the entire community, I think. Yeah. And so specifically during COVID times, I think you're right. I think that it is, it's those difficult decisions that are really hitting home for many. Seth, go ahead, James. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I know a lot of the Chinese schools, international schools, are saying they can only hire from within China because China is now locking down people coming from outside, because actually the virus is coming from outside now in China rather than from within. So they're being very careful about hiring Western teachers, for instance.
That's exactly true, because a friend of mine has been hired since August, and she's still now in the Philippines all this time, that she's like working online and you know, doing the things that she needs to do while in the Philippines, even though you know, the school have started in China.
Yeah, and as I say, there are all sorts of crazy situations with people getting up at 2 a.m. in the morning so that they can teach from Europe to Asia. Although the teachers that we're supposed to be in Myanmar, I think, are quite relieved in some ways, given what's gone on there last week and this week. So yeah, but incredible challenges all around.
It's the same here in the Middle East. We had some staff members coming in from Europe, and they've had to go through different countries to get here because some of the corridors for flight transitions are now closed. And so that's been a challenge. So I think you're right. And I think it's happening everywhere. And from what I can see, don't quote me always, guys, check for yourself. But from what I can see in the news, it's changing all the times with the flights. Like this is open now, this is closed now. And so it's going to be, yeah.
And the Middle East, in some parts of the Middle East, are leading the way in terms of injections because they've got small populations in relatively small cities. And so they're doing a great job on getting teachers vaccinated, which is very impressive.
Wow, I'm so glad you said that. I never like to plug my own area, guys, but yeah, I would say that that is one thing that is going on really well here. So, for example, in Jordan, we have a certain number of 2 of the vaccines, and then people can register for them. And they've got 3 or 4 different categories that are getting priority first, and education sector is one of them. So I'm on a waiting list. I don't know when that will happen or if, but I'm on a waiting list, so hopefully soon. And yeah, so I think that's really good. But also very interesting you mentioned the Middle East, James, because I have heard from different friends around the area that the communities there are also hesitant to take the vaccines. Like they don't trust them necessarily. So I don't know if that's a conversation we want to get into here, but I think every area is struggling with their own difficulties of the COVID times for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so the conversation I've had is just that teachers have started getting the vaccines and are very happy that they're getting them. And I think, I think all of us would be very happy to take a vaccine if it's offered to us. I know Malaysia's going to be a while, but we're getting there.
Sethy, you're really quiet today. I'm almost I'm flabbergasted. I don't know if it was the water incident.
I'm doing my best. I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in. Yeah, especially that last conversation. No comment on that one because, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
No news is good news, I'm guessing, but yeah, who knows what will happen here.
Since we were passing some compliments around, though, Shannon with her lovely 5 a.m. look, Sethy, I'd like to compliment on your lovely tan and haircut since I haven't seen you in a while. Not good? No, it's lovely.
It's not a tan. It's just red.
Oh.
It's just back to school. It's just
back to school tan.
It's the same as Davis. Monday was back to school, in-person teaching, so very different timetable. Everyone's in school, but obviously everything's very different. Nobody's going into classes, so the teachers are hopping around because everyone has to stay in their bubbles and in their rooms, and so it's very different. But it's great to be back. It's really just seeing the students makes all the difference, doesn't it? And it's been great. I mean, they all know how to use Discord now, so that's brilliant. That's not created any issues. No, not at all. But yeah.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
that's right.
I think
I'm thinking about a new. Yes, I need a pro now because that one's fried.
No, well, that's it's good, and I want to talk a little bit, guys, because I know we've got about 15 minutes left in the show, and I wanted to get a little bit into what are we doing to help our leaders, and that includes all of us, those in the chat that are joining, and those on air. What are we doing to help us get through this next period, to keep that lovely, inspiring start that we all have had to 2021? How are we going to keep that going? So what are some things we can do to either A, support those leaders that we are empathizing with right now, support ourselves as leaders, and also support others?
I think for myself, it's all about being flexible and just not, because it's like what Davis says, they're all in a very difficult position at the moment. anyone in any type of leadership is in a very difficult position. They have to make difficult decisions. They have to make decisions even though they may not have all the available information. And so just being flexible. If you walk in the morning and you see that your timetable has been changed, there was a reason for that, and maybe that hasn't been communicated well. Okay, but just know that there was a reason for that. Maybe that reason is not being communicated. Okay, maybe that could have been communicated, but there is always a reason why things happen. And when people make mistakes, well, I would hope that we all try to teach our students that making mistakes is a good thing. Well, we also make mistakes. And so when someone in leadership makes a mistake and that affects you, maybe don't give them a hard time about it. Just be understanding, especially at these times, like in these times.
I think also, because we're quite a tech-focused channel, is we are the ones who try and test and make sure things really work, and only suggest things that we know add real value, are easy to use, and will help teachers. This is not the time to suggest fluff and the greatest, latest, greatest things. No, these are the basic tools you need. I think that's important. So for me, I've only suggested Pear Deck, even though I've got 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 other presentation tools which I use in my own teaching, because I like to play with those tools and the kids like it. But I know for your average teacher, Pear Deck is the one that will enable you to do hybrid teaching, and so on and so forth. And I think that's just really important, not to, only suggest stuff which is critical.
Absolutely. And also, I think for those that are in a position of leadership, maybe without the technical know-how, communicate, ask those that do have an interest in it. Because what I have seen before is certain promises being made or decisions being made, and it's technically just not feasible. It is possible, but it would mean, feeding all sorts of video feeds through all types of it's just not going to happen. So just communicate openly with staff and say, what would you like to do? Okay, does anyone have any ideas about that? Has anyone tried this before? Let's play with it before we roll it out and see if this is right for us, because not every tool. I mean, if one thing I think that we saw during this, during the first lockdown, was every single company was offering free licenses. And so many people jumped onto, every single one of those. Whereas we made a very conscious decision not to, and we stuck to the ones we knew. And if there was a free upgrade, great, because we're already using them. But otherwise, no, we're not going to sign. I mean, I might, and I might play around with them, and I will, open up all the settings, but not as a school. So I think that's a really good point that you just mentioned there, James.
Oh, Abid has said, actually, Pear Deck, it doesn't have EU. Oh, I thought they had the EU license. Never mind. Okay, well, that's important. Okay. That's Nearpod it is then.
Yeah, we've been using Nearpod, so that's good to hear, actually, because I
didn't realize Pear Deck had that problem.
I like Nearpod's option for AR integration into the application, so I think it's splendid. And I know somebody on Abid's GEG team, Rachel Kothup, who does a brilliant presentation to help people learn that. So yeah, absolutely. But it's important to remember, guys, right? Since we're an international community, well, more heavily placed in this table in the APAC region, but there's a few of us from other areas, to keep in mind that, the EdTech is governed by different regulations. Shannon, you're governed by COPA and FERPA, right?
Yep.
In America.
Absolutely.
And Europe, GDPR. So yeah, it's different.
And Pear Deck is US based. So so that's probably why, the Europe isn't going. So yeah, that was a good hint from Abid.
Gary's joining in the chat. Welcome to Gary Hart. Let us know where you're joining from.
I want to add on to what James and Sethi were saying about tech. I think another way that we can support our leadership right now is I don't know how it works in your guys' part of the world, but our leadership kind of runs our staff development and our staff meetings usually. And I think stepping up as individuals who have that technological know-how and how to integrate EdTech meaningfully, like stepping up and offering our services to lead those sessions for them, maybe would prove more valuable during this time than before. And as far as like personal leadership development, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on to me because who doesn't love talking about themselves, right? Just kidding. I think, right, I've really made it a point recently to dive into some kind of self-development books because there's areas in my own life that have become very clear where I maybe weaker or could, have some self-development. And so, for example, recently I picked up a book suggested to me by Georgina, actually, called Atomic Habits, that has like literally changed the way that I lead my life every single day at every single moment. Like it's really given me a kind of a focus in a time that's a little chaotic, right? All teachers, leaders, we've been doing this pandemic education for a while, but the reality is it still has its struggles. Like for me, like a lot of my students are kind of burning out more than they were last semester, and it's just barely February and we have a whole rest of the semester to go. And so kind of building my own habits and like thinking about it in terms of that. And, you guys recommended thinking fast and slow. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my list. Like just really diving in and using this space to, as education is evolving, I feel like educators and leaders need to evolve as well. And so I think personal development through audiobooks, books, PDs, things like that are really, really important as well.
I think that's another episode. I'm taking notes for our next episodes. And if you in the chat, guys, would like to have us chat about a topic, let us know in the chat so we can add that to our 2021 list too. Shannon, this is brilliant, the PD books. And I know James is very happy listening to you say that because James is an avid reader too, right?
Yeah, we all love reading. And I've been doing some professional development reading on nuclear science on the Expanse series.
Wow.
Science fiction.
Wow.
I don't
Just
even know
science
where to go
fiction.
with that one.
Just science fiction, the Expanse series. I've just been enjoying it. But yeah, it's
Gary's having a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah.
yeah. I just like to read the higher sides, honest to God. But yeah, I love MK, what he said, and he's so right. And I think everybody's been stung on one of these apps at some point where, of course, it starts off free, gets you the sugar hooked in, and then you go. And I'm afraid it is a model. It is a model that computer science. And I would say that we talk of our people, customers, as users. There's only one other industry that talks about users, and that's the drug industry. So the business models, I'm afraid, are very similar. So yeah, there you go.
I mean,
Very
So good point.
I agree with you, James. They've always been like that, because if you remember way back in the day with the PlayStation 1, you had your demo discs, and every single game had a demo disc, and you got the first 2 levels, and the rest you had to buy the game. And that model is still being used today. You've got your freemiums, and you've got your, I mean, even
I think the
games,
difference
you've got
is,
pay to
and I'm
play.
going to step up for Sonny here. The difference is you knew that was a demo.
You knew. But I think one of the things that I always approach any application or software, or there's 2 models. You either pay for the product or you are the product, and that's it.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
As long as you sort of know that, and you go in, let's say that you get free till the end of July. Okay, great. Let's see if it's for us. Let's use all the features till the end of July, but let's not roll it out. Let's use all the features while this lasts, and then bring in a couple of members of staff that are a bit more, interested in the tech side of things. But don't roll it out to everyone yet. Don't roll it out to the school. Don't roll it out to students. If it is right for you, and once you get to that point where you sort of decide as a group or as a team, yes, we would pay for this, then you're not disappointed when they roll it back.
And one of the things I was very impressed with my management team was they said, these are good apps. We are now going to pay for them, and we are going to pay with them for the next 24 months. So we're going to use it. And they only did it for Pear Deck and Zoom for obvious reasons. And as I say, they said, look, we're showing the commitment to the teachers that if you put time into this, we're going to keep that subscription for you.
I was
And
just
that's
having
for
that.
so many. Go ahead.
I was just having that conversation with Shannon the other day about like software that I actually am very happy to pay for if I think that it's going to have a massive impact on what I can do to help, you know, my development or the school's development. And I agree. And to tack on to Sethi's point, that is exactly what we do. So I have a team of digital leader teachers, and we're growing, you know, every term after they graduate from coaching. And so those are the teachers that trial any products, and those are the ones that give feedback. And it's a mix of teachers across K-12, and we will do the trial together, feedback to SLT, senior leaders, and then they can decide if they'd like to purchase that or not for the school. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, Sethi.
But I do think it's a talk for another day, but actually
Sure.
getting those innovative teachers and setting up that culture so that it does roll down, I think is a fantastic idea, because there are some teachers who are happy to try things, who are happy to experiment, who have that kind of creativity. And then there are those that don't.
But I do agree with that buy-in, because there's actually information available. I mean, I don't know the actual data on this, but when you look at webinars as well, free webinars and paid for webinars, when you look at people that are investing time for their own professional development, when you have a free webinar, 90% of the people that have registered don't show up. They just, you know that from the get, like if you have 1,000 people that register for your webinar, 90% won't be there. Whereas if it's a paid for webinar, maybe only 100 people pay for it, but 99 will show up.
Yeah.
Because there's a buy-in. And I think it's exactly the same with software. It's, you know, if you're passionate about using something, then you will be willing to pay for it. And on the other hand, if you've paid for it, then you are also making it very clear to your staff and to your community that you are committed. We are committed to this, and so we are going to go with this.
Okay, so we have just a couple of minutes left, and I want to do a rapid fire, guys, but it's got to be really rapid, okay? Are you ready, Gary? I'm coming to you last, so you have time. That's how fast we going, okay? Get ready. Okay, rapid fire, one quick win that you could do to support your leaders and your staff at your school. Whoever starts, then we'll go clockwise.
Okay, I'll start.
I was just going to say, as Google innovators and people who get heads up of things, letting our staff, teams, leadership know when new features come out that they are going to need.
Love it. Shannon, you're up next. Well, in my screen anyway.
Yeah, I would say just offering like support and resources in an easy and clear like way of rollout, so that they can access that and not have to feel like they have to take the time to email and get to us. It's kind of in one central space for them.
Nice. Okay, I'm next. I would say offer an open office hour just for your leaders. So 15 or 20 minutes once or twice a week, and say if you guys have questions that I can help you with, you can drop into that. So you can have a general one for everyone, but sometimes leaders don't want to feel shy in front of others, right? So you can have a separate one for leaders, and that goes a long way. Davis, you're up.
For me, we recently did like a classroom visit. So like me, we go to the classroom and just say, hey, is there anything that you need or anything that I can help you with? So just to support them, because sometimes they want to send that email, or they want to send that request, or they want to send help, but sometimes, you know, you going there would take time. So we go there before they send the request.
I love that. Thanks. Sethi, you're up.
I would say be very clear in your communication. If something is not possible, don't say maybe. Just be honest about it and say this won't work, or I think this will work, and be very clear in that, so that people aren't looking for ways to get something done when there is actually a faster way, or so people don't get their hopes up when something is actually not going to work.
Okay, mine is simplify things. If there are process that is taking too long. Now, since we are all online, how can we make process simpler and more efficient?
I love it. That was our fastest rapid fire ever, guys. I'm so proud of us. That was awesome. And guess what? Everybody in the audience, we want to hear from you. So let's keep the conversation going.
Yes.
Tag Thursday PD on Twitter and let us know what are your tips and tricks for leaders? What are your tips and tricks to inspire your community for 2021? Massive shout out to all the people around the world who joined today. My heart is full. And congratulations to everybody on the call as well. Great to see everybody. Tune in first Thursday of every month in 2021 for
Thursday PD.
Thursday.
PD.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.